All right. Hi, everyone. For this exercise, we're going to do a planar head study. And what that is, right? P-L-A-N-A-R, planar, meaning made of planes. And planes are simply shapes in space. So anytime a form changes direction in space, there's an edge and a new plane. Okay? So we're going to use this Dorothea Lange photograph of a drought refugee from 1937 to do that. This is a cropped version of that image, but it has a lot of nice definition and a lot of nice value to help us read where those planar shifts are. So very simply, I'm going to drop a piece of paper over the image on my screen, right? We're going to do this so that we can have an easy way to figure out how the face moves in space, right? So the first thing I'm going to do, if you go back to the lecture and think about how the head can move in space, the first thing I want to do is just find the primary movement of the head, right? So we're going to use the center line of the eyes coming up the cheekbone, right? And over and down. Now remember, the corner of the face is really down through the corner of the cheek, right? So the face is moving this way, right down through the corner of the cheek, right? And then up like this, right? It's that head in a box idea. Remember that? The head is kind of a box in perspective, okay? And the facial plane is on the front of that box. Great, so we've got the general shape of the head. Remember that the temporal lobe is always going to remain a little flatter. And we've got things knocked in. Now what I want to do is start finding the planes of the face, okay? One thing I know is that the bridge of the nose is different from the sides of the nose, right? So I can start by just following, and on this side we see very little of it, okay? And then the base of the nose is going to be coming across the bottom, okay? See how that nose now starts to project out a little bit for us? We also know that the nasolabial fold, or the smile line, comes from the base of the nostril and frames the mouth. You can see the mouth muscle there, and that's going to be flatter in the middle, and it's going to travel down the sides of the upper lip, thusly. Right? So there, all of a sudden, we have the volume of the upper lip. Now, the bottom side of the upper lip is a down plane, right? It faces down. And we can kind of note that by just putting in a little value to help it feel like it's moving down in space. Okay. Lower lip has a top side, right? And the lower lip has a bottom side. This guy has a tiny down plane here, and then a nice strong indication of the muscle that forms the mouth below that, and then another deep bit of shadow below that, right? So see how I'm just finding all the different shapes that make up how that form moves in space. Every time I feel like it moves, right, then I'm going to create an edge and a new plane, okay? One thing I can do on the side of the nose, I can see the nostril there, is break that generality up a little bit, and now I have the side of the nose coming down, the top edge of the nostril, and the side of the nostril, right? And that all of a sudden gives our nose a lot more volume, a lot more form, right? So remember, this is the bridge of the nose. When it comes up and meets the brow ridge, it actually transitions back out to meet the forehead. Right? And then our first general swipe can essentially be a nice down plane for the entire eye socket, right? Something like that. But below, we're going to have a little bit of that bottom lid we can see. And the more I break that up, the more volume that's going to have. So now this eye socket moves in and back out, in and back out, okay? And off the top of the nostril, right, about off the top of the nostril, we have the cheekbone that's going to move down and back and become part of this whole movement away from the socket, following his cheekbone back on the side of the face. Okay, so again, right, I'm just looking for those big planes of the face. Remember that the forehead is broken up into generally 3 sections. There's off the side of the brow, the center section, which sometimes moves slightly back in a little bit, and then the opposing side. But that is radically different than the overall temporal lobe of the head. Okay? And then I'm just going to plop the ear in there, just because. Okay? So you can do the same thing with all sorts of forms, right? We could do it with the fabric. And where the fabric changes direction in space has the exact same effect. Okay? We're just going to keep working as much as we can to start to pull some volume and mass out of the face. Okay, now that I pulled my traced image off of the computer, now I can come in with a darker pencil and I can really start to play with those line weights a little bit. And even start to bring in some hatching and different things. We're still staying really sketchy, right? We're not going to worry about creating like super rich values or anything like that. What I want to do is just kind of play with value, right? Play with line weight and see how that changes my sense of volume and mass in the head. Okay, so really just experiment, play, line weight, little bits of hatched value, and see what you get. So, it's not a perfect portrait, but it's a really interesting way to think about creating volume and space of the human head. Okay, so just play, have fun, use. Oh, that's going to help a lot, I think. There we go. Look how that just came forward. Oh, yeah, sorry. Getting off track there. So, just play, have fun, and make a portrait. All right, good luck.